for your considered responses. Many residents struggle to keep up with rising housing prices and rents. What ideas do you have to create more affordable housing so that more Quincy residents can afford to stay in this city?
The value of homes in Quincy is something that, as a homeowner myself and as elected official, you like to see values rise as the most principal investment that most people have. But on the other side of that, you have folks who want to come to the city or continue to live within the city, or whose children want to live within the city, and they can't afford that. So we need to strike that balance where those folks who have made the investment and want to move on perhaps and upon retirement and sell their home can recoup that value, while other folks coming into the city have an opportunity to be able to afford Quincy. We have multiple opportunities within the city. Our goal is to have developers come up with a 10% factor of having affordable units, or have a money item that would be commensurate with that could go into a affordable housing trust fund. We have a number of organizations, as I know you're aware of, Jonathan, that partner with the city to open up opportunities for many renters and future homeowners. The first homeowners buyers program that the city partners with is a very valuable tool. So as someone who has grown up in the city and understands the value of property, I get the fact that we need to partner with folks that can make Quincy more affordable.
Mr. Previous.
The key to affordable housing is lower taxes, and as an activist, that has been my bent for many years. Like I said, I'm an activist, not really a politician, so if you want a politician, don't vote for me. But I choose to try to do whatever I can on the state level, and right now I'm working on the local level to do that. As far as affordable housing, I've seen a lot of these units go up, and they're expensive. And so there needs to be some affordable housing set aside, some units that are made specifically for affordable housing, and I will work to try to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Development.
This is a great question. Affordable housing. There are many neighborhoods and there's many structures around the city that have blight situations, which means there are houses that are under par. They need to be redeveloped. And those are an opportunity for people like ourselves to buy into these properties and rebuild them in a better state. There's plenty of carpenters out there. There's plenty of construction workers out there. We can do the work. You just have to make sure you take the proper avenues of doing that. The affordable housing has affordable housing trusts, which millions and millions of dollars is sitting in right now, and that you can use to develop around the city. Right now, over by the Fall River Shipyard, there's 144 units being done by NeighborWorks, which is a nice development company that comes in and builds up areas that need affordable housing. I'm looking to get into areas and neighborhoods of the city that we need this affordable housing. There's also another thing called workforce housing, which is another criteria above affordable housing, which is a little criteria above that, 80% to 120% of the median income of $62,000. So there's affordable housing, and then there's also workforce housing, which is our new term that you'll be hearing about a lot more. But I'm looking to redevelop throughout the city of Quincy. There's areas right by the Fall River Shipyard. There's areas right here behind here at Welcome Young that you can redevelop, and they're looking to do more units and make it affordable for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. The City of Quincy has an inclusionary zoning ordinance. What it requires is for any development with 10 or more units, developers have the option of either A, giving 1 unit per 10, so for a 100-unit building, 10 units, or a payment in lieu of, based on their construction costs. I have represented the City Council on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund for the City of Quincy for 8 years. We have made some great projects throughout the city. I wish there was millions of dollars sitting in the account. There is not. However, as these large-scale projects get permitted, we do see some funding coming in the pipeline. NeighborWorks has been a terrific partner. They're one of the CHODO's, Community Housing Development Organization, as well as Quincy Community Action. One of the projects they worked on in my district was the old American Legion post. It was actually a blighted property coming onto the market. They demolished it and they made a duplex for 2 veterans' families. Some of the units, instead of providing just into the apartments and these large-scale apartment projects that we've seen success of, and this is something we've piloted in Ward 1, is when these developers, for example, the Temple Bethel along Hancock Street was 56 units. They owed 5 units to the Affordable Housing Trust. What they did is they bought a 5-family home in Adams Shore, and we've moved Quincy residents into those properties. So the city has tools at our disposal for affordable housing. Quincy's development has been stagnant. We have not been having funding come in. As these projects are being proposed, they are paying into the fund or providing these units. The Watson project is one of the best projects I really look forward to. We have great nonprofit partners who help us in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Don. When it comes to being able to afford to live here in the city, I think there are 2 issues with that. One is that if you've been here for years and you're currently in the home that you're in, that you can't afford to stay there. I came across a family the other day when I was door knocking down in Marymount who had actually told me that she was excited because her son was the 6th generation of her family that had lived there. They're celebrating their 100th year of their family living there. And it's just one story of many that we see across the city. And for families like that, their concern is, can I afford to stay here? On the other hand, you also have folks that are looking to, buy their first home or rent an apartment. And even if you're renting or buying for the first time, you are also struggling to stay here in the city. And so we need to address that on both ends of it. For the first one, if you're a current homeowner, current property owner, again, I'm advocating for a residential tax exemption to make sure that your costs to stay in your home are down. And we need to go ahead and enforce that right away because, Massachusetts allows up to 35%. We should be taking advantage of that. When it comes to new developments and new properties here in the city, I've heard it from folks. It's too expensive to create affordable housing units. Well, I can tell you, we've worked with organizations like one of the ones hosting tonight's event, ACDC, and they've been able to build beautiful apartment buildings that are all at an affordable rate. This is something that is possible. It's something that they've done here in the city. We need to continue to promote and support organizations that can bring more affordable housing units here so that we can all afford to either own our home, buy a new home, or continue to rent here in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Please hold your thoughts.
So there's an income gap that's happening in the city of Quincy. With all of the development that's happening, our real estate tax has grown 29% since 2011. People's income, their basic income, has not raised that much. People's salaries have not gone up, and people are being at a point where they can't afford to stay in their homes. Whether they're seniors on a fixed income or two income earners are sometimes having a hard time staying in the city of Quincy. Young families who want to come to Quincy are having a hard time being able to afford Quincy. Renters, I don't know any renters who can afford Quincy with the developments that are going up now. We can't be putting money into trusts to build things because we won't have any space left to build if we're not careful. We're building everywhere. Every square inch of our city is being built out, and it's changing the neighborhood fabric of the way it is today. We need to make sure those developers who are developing units that we can afford, that people, the average Joe, can afford, that they can go into. And the way they do that is by making units less high-end, so that maybe they don't have stainless steel, maybe they don't have granite countertops, but they're affordable for people to be able to move into. We need to enforce that with the developers who are developing in the city of Quincy, because putting money in a trust and finding the land to be able to build that is becoming less and less apparent. And we need to make sure we're integrating these homes for everybody so that we can live throughout the city and not just in one section, feel isolated because it's affordable. We want to be part of the community and part of our city. We need to find places where we can save money so that people can afford to live here.
Thank you.